Live from a bunker in the heart of the Ozarks, a podcast that doesn't need a reason to review movies. We need a reason not to. It's Sif Pop. Welcome to Sif Pop Weekly, streaming live most Saturday mornings, or available to download later in your podcast feed, unless, of course, you're a patron.
Patrons get perks!
Patrons get those perks.
I'm a Thomas.
I'm your host, Aaron Dicer, and he's smarter than a beaver. It's Andrew Ormsby, ladies and gentlemen.
Just barely. Ahoy!
Each week we'll chat about movies, TV, and whatever else from the pop culture universe is on our minds. And please welcome our guest this week. He looks like every white homeless man I've ever seen. It's Ian Whittington, everyone!
On any other occasion, it would be an absolute joy to be compared to Brad Pitt. But thanks, is it the beard? What is it?
I've been relishing delivering that one all day long.
Thank you so much.
Ian has given me permission in my life to kind of, rib him as a friend, because that's that's like kind of his love language, right? Yes. Like as in England, it is tearing each other down is the definition of being friends.
Yes, absolutely. So, you 100%. Also, yes.
So we are here to chat about a couple movies. As referenced, Bullet Train and Prey we're going to talk about today, and excited to talk about both of these films. We're also going to do Best Ever Brad Pitt. How about that career, guys?
He's been like one or two movies.
Wasn't a lot to pull from. I was really struggling with this one.
Well, he's new. Eventually he'll be in some more stuff. He'll be in.
I hope he gets his big break.
Yeah. Then of course we'll do some buried treasure as well towards the end. But let's not delay. Let's get into these reviews. Let's kick it off by talking about Bullet Train. Unlucky assassin Ladybug is determined to do his job peacefully after one too many gigs gone off the rails. I get it, off the rails. Fate, however, has made other plans as Ladybug's latest mission puts him on a collision course, I get it, with lethal advertisers. Lethal advertisers, adversaries from around the globe, all with connected yet conflicting objectives on the world's fastest train. Listen, I get a little bit distracted by puns.
You appreciate a good punnage.
Bullet Train, guys, what did you think? This is Brad Pitt starring in this. Also has some other people in it, some of which maybe are spoilery cameos, so I won't necessarily give those away. But
they were treasured.
Yeah,
they were. I also Brian Tyree Henry I wanted to mention in this one. And many others. Aaron Taylor Johnson and Brian Tyree Henry were the ones I was thinking about mentioning in. Hiroyuki Sanada, Zazie Beetz, all in the main cast. Michael Shannon coming in as the villain. So what did you guys think? Did you like it, love it, dislike it, hate it, or it was just okay? Kick us off, Ian.
I liked it. Just really liked it.
Right dead center of the tracks.
Middle of the tracks. Yeah.
Liked it.
I've come online.
You're not quite on the third rail of love. But...
Nope.
Andrew, what about you? Liked it, loved it, disliked it, hated it, or it was just okay?
I'm teetering on loved it and really liked it.
I would have bet all the money I had in the world that you were in loved it on this one. This feels so much to me like the what's the movie you always talk about loving?
The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
No. It's is it Seven Psychopaths or?
I do love Seven.
Good movie.
It just has that feel of a lot of those movies that
it reminds me of. Yeah, I know we're not really kind of into it, but it reminds me of like a Guy Ritchie, like Snatch sort of a
yes,
thing.
that's it.
It's
That's
super
it. Yes.
duper Guy Ritchie.
Yeah. It's definitely kind of got that feel to it. I'm easy to say loved it. I had a really good time with this.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, super duper loved it, going to be in my top 10 at the end of the year, but it might be in my top 20. It might. I had a really fun time with it. Now, I will start off by saying I know for a fact part of this is because I went with my son, and that doesn't usually happen. My wife was not feeling well that night. We were going to go together. I was like, I have this extra ticket. Why don't you come hang out? And we hadn't done that in a while, and it was really cool to go see a movie with him. And I know now that he's older and he's enjoying, more adult-like content like this, it's kind of fun for us to sit there together and kind of have those action moments, those laughs, whatever. So I know psychologically I was in a place where I was preset to enjoy this, more often maybe than I would otherwise. But even beyond that, I really, as I started to critically think about it, thought, no, I just really I think there's just a lot of fun to be had here. And so I had a really, really good time. I guess
Can I do a quick aside real quick?
Yeah, go for it.
Quick one. One of our gurus almost met you in person the other day, Aaron.
Oh, really?
Yeah, at Alamo. You were just heading into the theater, but they were walking into another one. So, they hadn't been a guru in a very long time, but Matt Roper.
Roper was there. Okay. Yeah.
So.
Did he see me?
Yeah.
Okay. I think I saw him. I was like, there was somebody, this will happen to you sometimes, and it's one of those weird things, but I was walking down the hallway and there was somebody to my left and somebody at a distance in the the dining area there in the theater, put a hand up, waved. Yeah. And I was 100% sure they were waving to the person to my left because I couldn't even see, it was kind of dark. I couldn't even see who it was. Yeah. I wonder if that was him. I wonder if, because
everyone's just going to think you're ignorant.
He said that he felt jilted that you snubbed him and that you just...
Yeah. Oh, no.
Fair.
Oh,
that's
no.
Fair.
Oh, no.
But I figured you'd find that interesting. But Bullet Train.
Yeah.
So...
let's start with Brad Pitt's performance, which, Brad Pitt is always going to be a little bit of Brad Pitt, but it's not like he can't kind of turn that dial, to different places. And I think what he's doing here is interesting. I don't think it's, straight down the line. I think there's a level of franticness that he's playing into, like a comedic franticness that I'm not used to seeing. At times, maybe even a little too much. Like there were a couple moments where I was like, maybe dial that back a little bit. But overall, I had fun with his performance. What did you guys think about his performance and some of the other performances in this?
His performance, I really, really liked. I thought it was a lot of fun. His inability to find his own zen because of everything that's going on around him, that he blames on luck, and that's one of the things I think that. As I was watching, that's the thing Aaron's going to really hold on to is this kind of dichotomy between luck and fate.
Oh, we will get there. It is the reason that it's easy for me to say I love this movie. Oh, believe me, I will talk about the messages and the themes in this movie because they're incredible.
But you know me, I talk about performances, and there are no two performances in this movie that I loved more than Aaron Taylor Johnson and Brian Tyree Henry. The chemistry between those two is remarkably good. It's stellar. Them going back and forth was easily, for me, the best part of the movie.
Yeah. Ian, what about you?
This is one of those occasions where I'm going to sound like I hated this movie just because I didn't like it as much as you two.
We've all been there.
I had a great time. I had a really, really good time. But for me, just to get my negatives out of the way really quick, some of the Guy Ritchie lock, stock, snatch humor had me eye rolling and taking me out of the movie as opposed to adding layers to it and adding something enjoyable. I could almost see the writers writing the words and writing the asides and the cutaways, and it just took me out of the movie so much. Like, it was mainly the stuff between Tangerine and Lemon, like the Thomas the Tank stuff, and
It's like one of the best parts of the movie.
Okay, by the end of the movie, it totally makes sense.
It works. It's set off and payoff 101, man.
Yeah,
like it
works.
I know. The fact that everybody on the train has some kind of grounded knowledge of Thomas the Tank,
just unreal.
It's glorious.
Apart from the English lady that didn't, just called it the wrong thing, and I was like, "You're English? How do you not?" Anyway, but. No, that was my only negatives. Some of those overly stylized asides and some of the water bottle and the Suicide Squad captions that came in, I was like, oh, okay, I'm done now. But other than that, like, I really enjoyed the ride. Like, this is my favorite type of Brad Pitt, where he's whimsical, playful, insecure, not necessarily the Tom Cruise style character that we're expecting. I much prefer him being a bit down on his luck like this. Yeah, less sure of himself, exactly. And eventually I did like the playoff between Tangerine and Lemon, but to begin with, it's the first half of the movie, just second half, I'm like, I'm here, yes.
No,
they had. You may need a rewatch. Sounds like you may need a rewatch.
I may do.
You know, it's and I'm not. And
from line one.
I'm not saying you can't watch this movie and roll your eyes, because absolutely, especially if you get tweaked early, this movie is going to feel overwrought, right? Like, it's one of those movies that just if you're in that mode of seeing it this way, it can feel so manufactured, right?
Because I was like completely opposite to you. I was in a bad mood. I was in a terrible mood when I went in to watch this movie, and I think I did get tweaked by none of this is original at all. It's all over stylized crap, but I did let myself. I think that's what I couldn't get away from, the fact that I was still having a good time by the end of it. So I was like, wow, I must like this, because it turned me round.
Yeah, it is. It has it's also that you're never bored, right? And that to me is one of those things when even if you do roll your eyes some, you're kind of on to the next thing pretty quickly, and there is not a shortage of set pieces in this movie. There are so many fights in set pieces and big moments.
Choreographed as well, like watchable, not jump cutty.
Right.
And some of them are just outright hilarious. Like the flying into the big anime character cushion thing. I won't spoil anything else. Just had me rolling.
Although since you mentioned it, can I just ask you guys? I cannot, in my brain, figure out how I missed what happens here. But this character is at the front of a very fast moving vehicle. Okay.
Yes.
Yep.
A crash happens.
Yes.
That at least slows down said vehicle, and sends said character
goes the opposite
backwards.
Oh no, he should go forward. Yeah, he should go forward.
Well, so I'm trying to think in my mind when I'm watching this. I'm going, okay, that is so clearly the opposite of what should happen with how inertia works.
Yes.
That I must have missed something. Did I not miss something? It's just wrong.
No,
it's just physics are wrong.
I think it's wrong. Or there was an explosion that pushed him backwards, which counteracted.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, did I miss some sort of counterforce that they tried to put in there?
The problem is that counterforce would have ripped his insides out. Like, to counteract the inertia of the train, he would be dead. There we go.
Yeah.
No, because I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, oh man, this looks cool. Wait.
Why is he traveling that way?
Yeah, but he should. Yeah, no, I had the exact same thought.
In motion that should be staying in motion right now.
Yes, exactly.
I didn't know if there was some kind of like metaphorical theme behind it, or if it was just a goof. I'm gonna land on it was a goof.
And clearly somebody knew. Like, there's no way they got to like the theater and were like, wait a second, that's not how inertia works.
Yeah.
One of the things I like, and this will start to kind of creep me into the themes of this movie, and how intricate they are. But I think will keep us more on kind of the plotting of it. This movie has so many characters and so much going on
Too
that
much.
I never, maybe this is one of your negatives,
It is.
but I felt like the movie did a really good job of finding its way when it was time. Like when it was time for me to understand something, I understood it. I never felt confused in a way where the movie thought I understood something. Does that make sense? I was confused,
Yeah.
but I think I was confused at points where the movie's like, yeah, you're supposed to be confused right now.
Yeah,
We'll
I
get
agree.
there.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
My thoughts on it were, and this is honestly my only negative, is I understand everybody's role as to why they are on this train. I was never confused to like overlapping stories or
Right.
confrontations. I was never confused by any of that. But I did think that there was like maybe one or two too many characters. And some characters were introduced to and boom, they're gone. You know?
Yes.
And that makes it interesting because you never know like who's safe, like who am I going to get introduced to, and then they're dead. But at the same time, I'm like, there's a lot going on here, and it's a minor negative because I it wasn't confusing. It just felt like a little much at sometimes.
I think we're exactly as confused as Brad Pitt's character is throughout the movie, and it's he's barely the protagonist. He's just in the environment and things are happening to him. But
he's a pinball.
Yeah, he's absolutely pinball, and I think that we are being pinballed around the movie at the same time. But I think you hit the nail on the head, Aaron, with why I enjoyed it is that you never get bored, and I think there's actually just the right amount of overlapping stories and weird plot things, and he was behind it. Somebody was behind it all along that kept me in the mystery as well. Somehow, I mean, I don't know the formula to get that balance right, and I think if anybody does, they're lying, because I think there's just a little bit of good luck that comes behind that. But yeah, it's something that I definitely.
Yeah, I also, and I'll go ahead and wade a little bit deeper into this. This movie takes every coincidence, convenience that every action movie like this needs and turns the bug into the feature. And that to me is genius, because this is a movie about luck. This is a movie about what chance is, right? And what that means. So most action movies, they either hang a lantern on it where it's like, look at this ridiculous thing. Can't believe it's a ridiculous thing.
Yeah.
Or they try to ignore it and make it, kind of subtle enough that you don't really think about, wait a second, how likely, how convenient is it that this person is right here, right now? And this movie goes, that's the point. That is the point. That is the whole point. And go ahead and talk all about it, because every single thing you find that's a convenience is exactly the point we're making. And that's pretty fun.
I was so mad at the film. The very, very final, last convenience that gets revealed. I was so mad because I was like, didn't explain that one, did you? And then, they explained it. And so you know what you're doing. And that's, I like it. I really like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really fun, and it's wild. Like I'm super excited to watch this again, not just because I think it's fun; it'll be a fun rewatch, but also because I know there is stuff I missed in that realm. The idea of, because things will just come back to me, and I'll be like, oh, that's the whole point. Is that the reason this plot moment happens this way is because of this idea of chance, or this idea of free will, or what that means. And man, and it's also not afraid to approach that both negatively and positively. Not every random convenience is a positive thing in this movie. In fact, some of them are terrible and traumatic, but they're all chance and convenience. So yeah.
Oh man, there are some where there are two characters that think they're talking about the same thing, but they aren't. Which is just so beautifully done. So good.
Yeah, I'm interested to rewatch this one because I am a fan of like rewatching films and having that knowledge to where where a movie like this, I think, really shines, like, because we as the audience are, like Ian said, we're experiencing and gathering knowledge just as Brad Pitt is. Like, he is kind of us, like, mentally, like, we're finding out everything the same time he is. But I think it'd be interesting to go back and watch it and having all this knowledge now and focusing on, like, stuff that's going on in the background that maybe I'll pick up on stuff like, oh, okay, so that's how this got to here, and now I know to look for it. So,
what are some of the things in this movie that you think are fresh? Is there anything about this movie that feels new to you, that feels different? Because Ian, you mentioned I've seen this before. You know, the hyper stylized thing, that kind of thing. What about this movie is, oh, that's Bullet Train, not something that's necessarily known somewhere else?
I don't know that there specifically is, but it's doing everything well. So whereas it's easy to do all of these things and these cliches and have a schlocky movie that just comes out, makes some money and disappears, this really puts some effort into doing them really, really well. Like, just the plot of the overlapping bad guys' plans and the action, the choreography, the single location stuff. I don't think there is anything that's super unique here, other than perhaps using luck as a character, but even that's been done before. But it's just executed really, really well. It's just really fun.
I mean, David Leitch did Deadpool 2, and the character Domino is literally a character whose superpower is luck. So,
there's quite a lot of Deadpool in this.
There is, especially, you know, falling into a plushie is literally the exact same bit.
Some of these scenes, absolutely, could have just been in Deadpool. Yeah.
I would say that there's nothing quite unique, like, that I can just pinpoint, say that is Bullet Train, but everything that they pulled from, they pulled from a whole bunch of areas and they made it work. Like, all the train cars kind of have their own personality, kind of like in Snowpiercer, you know. All the characters are wild and eccentric, like what you would find in a Guy Ritchie movie. The neon kind of like the lighting of Tokyo, and as it transfers all the way out to Kyoto, like there's something interesting with the way this movie goes from an area of pure technology to an area that's rooted in history and the preservation of culture and stuff like that. I'm sure there's something there that I just can't read into, but I'd like to know what it was.
There are a couple things that I don't know that I've seen exactly this way before. One of them is the conceit that there's a stop for 1 minute every so often, and the movie uses this conceit really, really well. Where it's like, you know, like what it does. What's really interesting is it provides a momentum to the story that's really interesting because it has these built-in like chapter points, you know, on the stops. And it's like, okay, especially because we know that part of the goal of our main protagonist is to take advantage of each of these, you know, 1 minute stops or whatever, or he's trying to do something during each of these 1 minute stops. So I found that part of it really, really interesting.
And some of the funniest bits are just the reluctance when some of them have to reboard a train that they have.
Oh, yeah.
They are happily leaving and are just like, well, I guess I got to get back on.
Yeah.
But every single time it felt organic. It felt like, how are they now that he has the thing that he needs, why doesn't he just walk away? And I believed every single time that why he was unable to leave the train.
Right.
Yeah. 100%. There's a Weekend at Bernie's bit in this that is just brilliant.
It's so good.
The other part that I don't know I've seen anything specifically like in this kind of thing is the idea that the movie also turns a bug into a feature, because there's something you ask when you watch a movie like this is what about all the collateral, right? Like, this is a train where there's a lot of people on, and this movie actually addresses why there's less collateral as the movie progresses. And I thought that was really smart, like really interesting. There are two tropes that I am done, finished, done with. It's explaining collateral damage, which I'm fed up of doing it.
ever since Man of Steel, we've seen this just get worse and worse and worse.
Mm-hmm. Right.
The other one, and I almost launched my remote at the TV when I started watching Only Murders in the Building, because it's this 2 months ago thing, and I'm done with it. I don't need you to jump me into the action and then 2 weeks earlier or 2 months previously me. And there's
In
so
medias
much
res.
this.
Yeah.
I'm just so done with it, especially with this isn't the Only Murders in the Building show, but especially with that, because I was like, didn't have some confidence. Just start your show where you start your show.
So I'm forgetting, did this start in medias res?
No, it didn't start, but it has these cuts backwards and...
Well, cuts back. I mean, flashbacks are different than in medias res. In medias res is literally starting your movie with, I bet you're wondering how I got here kind of stuff. You know,
but there were some of those littered throughout. There were too many for this grumpy man. I wanted to stay on the train.
What you're talking about is a nonlinear timeline. What you're talking about is nonlinear storytelling. And
a little bit too much.
That is, it's very pulp fiction, right? Like it's very, which is kind of the movie that really put nonlinear storytelling front and center and said, you know, you
this
can
would
make
not
it
make
sense
sense
in
as you're watching it.
Yeah. And there is a little bit of that here for sure. More than just flashbacks. So yeah, I get it. What else? We haven't heard a ton of negatives. I think I've heard a negative from both of you. Was there anything else that, you know, kind of kept you from being over the moon about this?
Yeah, you wasted, sorry for the name pronunciation, Masioka, hero from Heroes. Just don't do that.
Oh, yeah.
Really wasted. Like
why is he even there?
It was the one part of the movie where I was like, you didn't pay that off at all.
No, and I was guessing, who is he going to be? Which one of these murders is he going to be?
Yeah, something had to be cut.
Karen Fukuhara's in this too, you know, and you're like, she's so wasted, and it made me mad. Because as soon as I saw her, I'm like, oh, please be somebody I can, you know, root for or, you know, have a vested interest in. And they're background characters.
Well, yeah, but Karen Fukuhara wasn't like the spotlight wasn't put on that character, really. It was part of a specific scene in a specific fun way, I thought. But the spotlight was, I felt like the movie said, pay attention, because it wasn't the one thing. There was a callback. Like it brought it back once, and I was like, okay, you've brought it back, so now you're going to pay it off with the third time. And there was just nothing.
Especially with the conductor who can be everywhere at once. Like he is perfectly poised to have access to places that no one else does. It's bizarre. Like it's almost like he just happened to be in the area, and it was like, oh hey, do you want to come on set for a day? It's so disappointing.
Yeah. Other negatives?
Not really.
I mean, maybe I did love it. I can't think of it. It's a bit long.
Did it just not go to that next level for you, Ian?
I think he was in a bad mood.
I think I was in a bad mood, and as a rule, like the Guy Ritchie style of movies, I love The Gentleman. Like that I'll watch 10 times a day. But the Lock, Stock and the Snatches and that kind of the Cockney backwards and forwards banter does my nut in, and maybe that is a cultural thing. Maybe I've just grown up with it too much. But that oh yeah, tangerine, yeah, it's not very good, is it? Yeah, no, it should be a lemon. Well, a lemon isn't very professional. I was like, oh, it's a fruit, yeah? Do you mean like the fruit?
I did love everybody's
whole
names.
Fruit joke just was lost.
Ladybug.
Can we move this along? Ladybug makes perfect sense, especially that. Oh, I don't know if that's a spoiler, but the switch of the explanation that ladybugs are, they absorb the but yeah, the tangerine fruit jokes. I was like, I'm not laughing. You make this movie for me, make me laugh.
They were so fun together, though. I did laugh. I did laugh at a lot of that stuff. I found their banter to be really fun, but maybe
didn't hit me.
Yeah, maybe if I was on the other side of the pond, I'd be sick of it as well.
It's done so much. It's most likely done more. It's 100% done more over here.
Yeah. I will say Hiroyuki Sanada, The Elder, does at time feel like he's in a different movie than everybody else.
But isn't that the point?
I think it is. I think it is.
Especially when it got to the end and he was like, let me tell you a story. No. It'll be short.
Please,
no, I'm good. I'm going to tell you a story. I think it was deliberate.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I didn't buy into the Michael Shannon stuff. That was my
No.
only real negative was I just didn't buy him as that character, and I
No.
don't know why, but it didn't quite work for me, and it was the one part that didn't quite work for me.
I think
Yeah,
he's the
you're
only
not alone
character
on that.
that seems like a cartoon. Everyone else acts like a cartoon, but is somehow believable. He just absolutely seems like a cartoon character.
Yeah, he has this whole Kaiser Soze thing going on this entire movie. Like everybody's terrified, like he's the demon.
Yeah.
And it just didn't. I didn't buy that from that performance. And man, I love Michael Shannon, but I think it was just an instance of miscasting.
I thought Joey King was great.
Joey King was my next point. She was incredible, so good.
Yeah. One final thing. What do you got? Anybody got anything else they need to say?
There is a mid-credit scene, which it's even weird calling it a mid-credit scene because it's like 5 seconds after the credits start.
It waited until I stood up to start. I was like, the
projectionist has a button, and they just wait for Ian.
Absolutely. Just enough for me to embarrass myself and then reluctantly sit back down.
Yeah. Ian, did you have anything else you wanted to mention before we move on?
My favorite thing. Hey, Aaron, guess what was in the trailer?
Don't do this to me.
So Sandra Bullock and Brad Pitt talking face to face is in the trailer.
No, it's not. No, it's that's the big final.
Yeah, but it is.
Why?
I thought it was funny. Brad Pitt cameos in a movie with two people, and then said people decide.
Well, this is my one final thing. This is what I was going to say for my one final thing.
Cameos.
I have a feeling that the Lost City and Bullet Train were filming near each other when they were filming.
Yeah,
just have a distinct feeling that that was the case.
No, that's in the trailer, my dude. I'm so sorry.
Oh man. Ian ruins everything. Actually, trailers ruin everything.
Trailers ruin it.
That's not even a lie.
When I know I'm coming on the show, I make
the
notes.
part of my brain that forgets everything about trailers when I start watching the movie.
No, I rewatch them after I've seen the film, so I can be extra angry.
Thank you, Ian. It's amazing. All right, let's move on to our next review. Let's talk a little bit about Prey. On the Great Plains in 1719, Naru, a fierce and highly skilled Comanche warrior, sets out to protect her people when an unknown danger threatens them. But the prey she's stalking turns out to be a highly evolved alien predator with a technically advanced arsenal. Is it an alien or a predator? Those are two different things.
I think you mean, is it a xenomorph or a Yauta?
Yes, it is a xenomorph or a Yauta. Prey is on Hulu. Straight to Hulu, not in theaters, directed by
Disney Plus in England.
And Disney Plus in England, yes, because that's how it works over there. Directed by one of my favorite guys, Dan Trachtenberg. Like one of those feel like he's a friend, but I've never met him kind of people because I've watched him talk about movies for a long, long time and have enjoyed 10 Cloverfield Lane very, very much. One of my favorites that he did. And he's done great episodes of Black Mirror. Has done some really great episodes of that. Also directed the season premiere. The series premiere of The Boys was also Dan Trachtenberg. So he's doing good work. What did you guys think about this? Did you like it, love it, dislike it, hate it, or it was just okay? Andrew, kick us off.
I can't believe I'm going to say this. I love this movie. All right. Big love. Ian, what about you?
Loved it. So good. So good.
I get to be the downer on this one. I get to be the one who sounds like they hate a movie that they liked. I really like this movie. I'm not putting it in love, but I did really like it.
You love this movie. Come on.
I'll convince you by the end.
Wait,
here's a quick question, and it's an important question. Which version of this movie did you guys watch?
Well, I watched the English.
So
simply because that is what is shot. Like the Comanche dubbed. This is one of those interesting cases where the dubbed is kind of more authentic, right? Like it would feel more real, except for it's a dub, and so the performance I think is a little bit. The reason I like subs more than dubs, if I'm choosing, is because I like to hear the actual acting that takes place.
Totally different. Yeah.
Now, I know if you know how movies are made, that many times you're not hearing the actual, you're hearing somebody redoing their lines
Yeah.
in a studio. Like, I know that happens. But for the most part, I think you get a better performance with the language that the actual actors were speaking in the moment. And so that's why I went with the
Yeah.
English
I've
version.
seen the movie 3 times now, and
Wow.
yeah, I know. Like I said, I love this movie. What I found
It's good.
interesting about watching the Comanche version with the dubbing is it made me realize how little you get close-ups on people when they're talking. Like you can have close-ups, to show expressions and everything, but like whenever there's a conversation, it's normally like further away, or they're like talking like in profile, and it makes it to where whenever the Comanche is being dubbed in, you can't really notice because you don't get that uncanny, like
Lip
lips are
sync.
talking, but the enunciations are matching up with the lips and stuff. So I don't know if that was intentionally done that way, but if it was, that's very, very smart filmmaking.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, hey, you guys are over the moon for this, so just talk on it. Like,
I'm starting with a
go for it.
negative.
Oh, well, okay, fine. We can do that.
I am livid, absolutely livid. This was not in theaters.
Oh, that's my negative. Yes, 100%.
This is like the person at the interview who's asked what their weakness is, and they're like, "Well,
I care too much.
I'm too nice to people."
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is not a negative of the film. Come on.
It is. Okay, it's a negative of the what would you call it? The distribution of the film,
Right,
and the lack
sure,
of confidence that the parent company had in their property. Because as I'm watching this movie, I'm like, this roars to be on the big screen. Like
It's
there
beautiful.
are some. I'll just say this right now: some of the best choreographed fight scenes I've seen all year are in this movie. And I'm upset that I didn't get to see them on a big screen.
Well, it's not just the fight scenes either.
Visually, it's beautiful.
Just some of the establishing shots are gorgeous.
Yes,
Yeah.
there's
So
some real, and they're all evocative in exactly the way the movie wants them to be. You know what I mean? It's not just painting a frame just to be artistic. There's the idea that everything is about story. Everything is helping you understand the character. When it's Naru standing on a precipice, and it's shot from a mile away. It seems like, and she's just like a tiny dot on this press. It's like, that is storytelling. That is teaching us about what we're supposed to feel about this character and about the world that she's in and what she's up against. I'm always blown away by how great a storyteller Dan is, and the with how he chooses those beats. And that to me is the most spectacular thing about this movie, is just how well told the story is. It's just such a well told story.
Honestly, and I can't believe I'm about to say this, I would recommend for people who have never seen a Predator movie before.
I agree.
I would probably recommend they watch this one first, because I think this one, even better than the original Arnold Schwarzenegger one, I think this one does a superb job at explaining and portraying what the motivations of the Predator is. You see, as this movie progresses, you see the Predator, which I'm assuming is one of, if not the first, like Yauta to ever land on Earth, because their technology is way more primitive than what we see.
That was a nice touch.
Yeah, but you see him working up like what we would consider like the food chain. Like he starts small, and then he's like learning, like, okay, so if this is the prey of that, what's that prey, or what's that prey to, what's its predator, and then it just keeps moving upwards to I'll just say there's a scene with a bear that is
so good,
cool. so good. I could say that there are probably 4 or 5 sequences in this movie that I want to put my hat on and go, that's my favorite scene of the movie. But then I'll think of another one, and it's too difficult to explain, or I mean to choose.
Did the bear look a little jelly to you guys? The bear
A
threw me
little.
off
Yeah.
A
little
little,
bit,
a
but
little.
I
Like the
try not to
lion
hold that
was-
against movies right now because I know like the
Yeah.
CG artists are so overworked right now, and there's
Yeah.
too much. My understanding from what I've read and heard is that a lot of the delays we're seeing now have nothing to do with the pandemic anymore. They have to do with visual effects. That a lot of the delays we're seeing are because the visual
Back
effects just
catalog.
can't come in on time because
Yeah.
there's such a back catalog. So yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
the tiger was a little bit like well, tiger or lion, whatever it
Lion.
was a
The
little bit
mountain
like
lion,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, a little
Yeah.
bit like that.
Yeah.
Okay, I got to talk about performances now.
Okay.
Amber Midthunder is great. I loved her
Amazing.
in Legion. I loved her in Legion. I love her here. But newcomer, first movie ever, Dakota Beavers, who plays the brother.
It's great, isn't he?
Is this first thing?
First thing
That's awesome.
ever.
So confident.
Ever. I want him in a Marvel movie like right now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, don't do that to him. Give him something worth acting in.
Hey. No,
Sorry.
I'm glad that that you get to see people get like their big breaks and stuff like this. But
Mhm.
please, please don't let this be another instance of somebody like giving a great performance, giving a heartfelt, meaningful, like caring performance that really resonates with people, and then they never get anything after that. It makes me think of an Apocalypto. I forget what his name was, but he was the main guy in Apocalypse. I'm like, oh, this guy's going to be huge. And then he never did anything after that. And it's just upsetting.
Mm-hmm.
What did you guys think of the Predator itself?
The design? Oh, no, I'm going to let Aaron talk.
No. This is fine, but I think this will lead me into part of maybe why I'm not as exuberant about it as you guys are. As much as I loved the story and thought the shots were beautiful or whatever, this universe just doesn't interest. Like, I'm just not interested in Predators. I don't understand. Like, there's something inherent to this story that is an underdog thing that I just never can quite believe. Like never. Like in any of the Predator movies, I'm just like, no, this creature comes to Earth, kills us all,
wins.
and wins. Like this is not an underdog story that we win. Like I
Doesn't
don't
matter how
believe
clever you
anything
are
you're showing
with
me.
your herbs.
So because of that, I have to approach these with a little bit more suspension of disbelief, because I'm more apt to just be like, okay, fine, but sometimes the
Aaron-
underdog actually doesn't have a chance, guys.
If it bleeds, we can kill it. Like that answers all questions. Like that's it. That's how we win.
If it bleeds, you can kill it, but that doesn't mean that you actually will. Like, it doesn't mean that you can.
If you've taken a milliliter of blood, you can take 7
Here's
pints.
the thing. If it bleeds, we can kill it is not true. If it bleeds, it can be killed is true.
Yeah, that's better, but it's not quite as pithy.
But that's different than we can kill it.
Tell that's Arnold.
This is my probably my favorite design of Predator. Like it was the first one that I've been intimidated by and scared of since the original. Loved the big Scully helmet thing that it had. What Andrew said about the primitive nature of some of its technology. So when I had this thought as soon as it happened, when I saw the 3 dots appear, I was like, oh no, lasers don't really fit in this story. I'm amazed that they even had the spaceship. And for that to be physical spikes instead, I was like, that's nice. Because laser beams and stuff like that doesn't really match the tone of what we're seeing everywhere else. So I think it was a really smart move. The Predator design was pretty great.
It really was. I've read almost every single Predator comic book, and I've seen all the movies, obviously. So it's cool seeing this period piece for Predators, because the entire purpose of this society is to go out into the galaxies and find the deadliest prey. And if they can't beat it, then they have to either physically upgrade their bodies or get a technological advantage. So seeing this Predator come to Earth with what even for us is still future technology, but primitive technology for a predator. And seeing, like, oh, I can see the spark, I guess you could say, for the technology we saw in the Arnold Schwarzenegger Predator, like those 3 laser dots. We assumed it was going to be the plasma, like Ian said, but it turned out to be the spikes, or the gauntlet, and what we thought it was going to be, and then what it ended up being. Or, but then of course there's tried and true things like the 2 claws, which I think
all 3 things that you mentioned there are bafflingly misused against it by the end of the movie. That was like my big negative, was how he misuses his own equipment.
My negative, if I have a true negative, as Aaron would say, and not the negative that it wasn't in theaters, it's the final confrontation for this was. It's weird saying it didn't feel realistic, because this is a movie about an alien coming to Earth and fighting a Comanche tribe. But at the same time, I'm like, as I'm watching this, I'm like, yeah, it's not working for me.
Well, this villain is hyper competent apex predator, finally, instead of being a misused apex predator, until the end when he's stupid. Like it's that, and it kind of has to be like that, or else there's no way that she really wins.
It's a little bit too much. It's a little bit, and I think you're about to say this, Andrew, like the other side of it. It's a little bit too much he's stupid than she's smarter. Like it's supposed to be she's smarter, but it's just a little bit too much he's stupid.
Yeah.
I think it's not that she's smarter. I think that she's lucky with a lot of the stuff she pulls off.
But she's supposed to be smarter. Like, the story wants us to think she's smarter than him.
Yeah, that she's outsmarting it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that the movie is supposed to think that, or make us think that she's not smarter than him, is that she is smarter than everybody that he has come up against. So maybe he has this preconceived notion of like the wit of humanity, like he expects how humanity would fight, but she's different. She's thinking outside the box, and it's her ingenuity and her ability to not only think outside the box, but make quick split-second decisions that save her. We're not spoiling it. Like, nobody's gonna people, this isn't going to be like, oh, I didn't see that coming sort of thing. It's a Predator movie. You know how everything's going to go. Did I lose you guys?
I'm still here.
Aaron's
gone. Well, I'll move on to my positives. Or should we wait for him to get back?
Probably wait for him to get back.
Yeah, let's wait for him to get back. I friggin' love this movie so much.
I did too. It's
so good.
Really, really good. Let's see. Oh, we can take a look at the chat while we're here. So starting from the top, it's not Saturday, Doc Trancy. No, we had a while of a time trying to get everything to work for Saturday, and no, we got it today though. So it's coming to you late. Sorry about that.
But you get me as the bonus.
Yes,
I wouldn't have been here.
Just so everybody knows, we initially Ian wasn't going to be on the show for Friday, and the other thing is we weren't going to be talking about Prey. We were going to be talking about the movie Vengeance. That was going to be the other movie that we talked about.
But what's absolutely bizarre is that Vengeance doesn't come out until October over here. It's ridiculous. Like, we still don't have Nope. I still haven't seen Nope because it isn't out until like the 18th of August. It's so dumb. So dumb.
Yeah. I'm very interested to hear your thoughts on Nope, because Aaron and I highly disagreed on that one. So.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic. It's my Jordan Peele he's my jam.
He's your spirit animal.
I wouldn't say he's my spirit animal, but I enjoy what he does. I enjoy his stuff.
Logical Robot, Prey. I was on board till the third act. Amber Midthunder, very evocative, easy to root for. Kept seeing the eyes of Aubrey Plaza. She does have very expressive eyes, just like Aubrey Plaza does. Her arc felt undercooked. No Dutch moments. Oh, Dutch is in the first Predator, Arnold Schwarzenegger. The Predator that took on the Bear was a beast yet came over as inadequate and even incompetent against Naru. Meanwhile, she went from Pocahontas to Black Widow. No, I'll push back on that because I think the movie from the very beginning, when she's like throwing her tomahawk towards the trees and stuff, I think from the very beginning, this movie's trying to show you that she is she wants to prove herself as not only a hunter but as somebody who is smart, because she's not only a fighter, she can track, she knows medicine. I liked all that stuff. No real character development, sometimes a cold, lacking reaction to insanely intense situations. Flawed, but infinitely better than the joke movie that was The Predator. The Predator was a huge garbage fire.
Yeah. Aaron has said to close out the show or carry on without him, and he'll rejoin whenever he can.
Yeah, we'll just keep reading the comments and get caught up real quick. Computer Geek 660 says praise cinematography is gorgeous and deserves to be seen on the big screen. Totally agree. The brother was a standout for sure. Yes. Stuart, she can just run faster than some of the other people. I don't think she was running faster. I think this is spoilers, but I know why she's running. Like I'm assuming, Stuart, you're talking about the scene in the field, like where they're both running away from Predator. You got to remember what happened to that other person the night before and why they possibly would be running slower.
You don't have to run faster than the bear. You just have to run faster than the person you're with. Yeah.
Stuart, always great to see you guys, no matter which day you're on. Oh, thanks, Stuart. Appreciate it. Computer Geek, no, hasn't come out in Australia yet either. So there you go.
International.
You're not the only one, Ian. Bullet Train felt like a mediocre movie in terms of quality, but I still had a lot of fun with it. It felt a lot of like Smoking Aces, but on a train instead of a hotel. I think Smoking Aces is a brilliant comparison for Bullet Train, because I think all of the people that were in Bullet Train kind of have that over eccentric, crazy character dynamic with them, like a lot of people in Smoking Aces. So that's a very good comparison.
What's that other movie that was in the hotel? The hotel. Oh, yes, there's a crime boss and everything happened. This hotel is their hideaway, and it's like a neutral ground. 7? No, more recent than that.
Hotel is their hideaway.
Yeah, and it's like it acts like Switzerland, and you can't kill anybody there.
Oh, John Wick?
No, it's not John Wick. This all happens in the hotel.
What?
What is it?
When did it come out? When did it come out?
Like 5-6 years ago. Hotel.
Artemis.
Yes.
Hotel Artemis. Yes.
That
is a very good movie.
Vibe to it. Yeah.
I like that movie a lot more. I mean, I said it's a really good movie. It's a fine movie.
I know. I really like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah. Yep. Shannon coming in for the win. Marvin C. This felt like a Predator movie in The Revenant. The cinematography was so good. Yeah. My favorite part of one of my favorite parts about the beginning of this movie is, like you said, we have that scene of Naru on the cliff's edge, and it slowly pans up, and then we see, the cloud, and then right after that, the Prey title card comes down. I thought that was a really fun shot. Dan Trachtenberg, man, he knows how to do really good cinematography. I don't know if you know this, Ian, but he has a YouTube video he did like over a decade ago. He made a fan film for Portal, the video game.
Oh, awesome. I haven't seen this.
After he did that, that's when he got his big break to do 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Wow, man. Yeah. I really want to I'm going to have to watch that. I would love a Portal film. I really would.
And if anybody does it now, it has to be Dan, because he absolutely slayed it. So
Yeah, I
yeah,
would
if you
hope
just
so.
type in on YouTube Dan Trachtenberg, maybe it has a fancy portal. Dan Trachtenberg portal.
So Aaron's not
Type
too
in
sure.
portal no escape is the actual name of it.
Yeah.
10 years ago he did that thing.
Ow. Yeah, it doesn't look like we're getting a movie then. That's annoying. Yeah, I'm not too sure if Aaron is going to be coming back. He says he's not too sure if he's going to get power. So should we move on? What do you want to do?
Probably he said he's not going to get power back, he doesn't think.
He says he doesn't know if it's going to come back on.
Okay. Well, everybody, we are going to, just in case, because I'm going to have to leave for work, and I know Aaron would be upset if we didn't finish the show. I would say that you and I continue on with the show, and then we will we'll go into our Brad Pitt best ever challenge, and then we'll finish with buried treasure.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. Do you have any last things you want to say about Prey before we move on?
Yeah, no, I just loved it. It was awesome. It was great.
It really was.
So
I can't wait to watch it again.
Yeah.
There's no post-credit scene, by the way. All
Nope.
right. Before we move on, we would like to thank all of our Patreon supporters. If you would like to support us on Patreon, you can head over to patreon.com, Sift Pop, and you can find out that there's for a couple bucks a month, you get a lot of great perks. So you can find that at Sift Pop on Patreon. I just did that all from memory, so hopefully I did it right.
That's nice. Nicely
Yes.
done.
All right, it's time for the best ever challenge, ladies and gentlemen. And we're going to go from number 5 to number 1 for the best ever Brad Pitt. Yeah, I'm going to be really intrigued to see how close or how different our lists are.
Yeah, I think ours will be similar. I think Aaron, if he was here, would be different.
We might have the same list and might just not be in like the same order.
Yeah, I think so.
We're going to go from number 5 to number 1. If you have something higher than I do, or I have something higher than you do, you will scream.
Jump!
There we go. All right, Ian, I'm going to let you start. What is your number 5 film?
Number 5. I think I'm going to get trumped. Fight Club.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, that's fair. That's
Trump
fair.
the hell out of that. My number 5 is a movie that we've already talked about earlier today, and that is going to be Snatch.
Honorable mentions.
Honorable mention, yeah.
Yeah.
This is probably my favorite Guy Ritchie movie. There's just something about it. I think the characters are so fun. The story is so intoxicating. The set designs. I think this is just a brilliant and funny movie.
No, I agree. I love it. I think it's great. It's just Brad Pitt's been in a lot of movies.
He has been in 1 or 2. Yes.
Yeah.
You're number 4.
Number 4, Burn After Reading. Oh
This
man,
was one of my very first honorable mentions. I love this movie so much.
I love this movie, and it pops up on so many of these best ever challenge lists because just the people that are in it. But yeah, it's great. It's so funny. His part in particular. This is the first time that I saw Brad Pitt not be Brad Pitt and just be a complete Ken doll of a man.
He's just a goof.
Yeah, just an absolute goof. Yeah, I love that movie. What did we learn? Absolutely nothing. Well, I guess we don't do it again.
When he calls John Malkovich and they're having he's like, "We have your stuff."
Yeah,
he's trying to be, this subtle spy, but he's not. He's a gym trainer.
Yeah.
Oh, I love this. Yeah,
That's so
good call. My number 4, I'm going to go with True Romance.
I haven't seen it.
Okay, everybody and their mother is in this movie. I'm just going to say that right now. It stars Christian Slater, and I'm just going to list off for you real quick the big people who are in this movie: Christian Slater, Patricia Arquette, Dennis Hopper, Val Kilmer, Gary Oldman, Brad Pitt, Christopher Walken, Sam Jackson, James Gandolfini. The list Tom Sizemore. The list goes on. And
Jesus
it's
creepers, that's some
directed
people.
by Tony Scott and written by Quentin Tarantino.
that is a list. How have I not
Yes.
seen this movie?
It's superb. It feels so much like a Quentin Tarantino movie. It has that ridiculousness to it, but somehow tamed. And I don't know if that's because the whole Tony Scott element. It's about
Yeah.
true love and the links that people will go to try and love one another regardless of the consequences and regardless of the consequences to them or to others.
Mhm.
Highly recommend it. It is I'm just now realizing all my top 5 are movies that are in my top 100 movies of all time now.
Makes
So
sense. You
yeah,
like Brad Pitt.
I do
Nice.
like Brad Pitt. Your number 3.
Inglorious B words.
Well, technically you can say bastards because it's not spelt the same as the curse
Okay.
word.
Inglorious bastards.
Yep, I'm gonna trump you, unfortunately.
Yeah, Trump me do it.
Yeah. My number 3 is 7.
Oh shoot. I am going to switch things around and say no, that's fine. I'm not going to trump you, but yes, that should be on my list.
Yeah. What a
I
fun,
spaced on
happy
that for some
movie.
reason. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so good. So good.
Delightful. It's a delightful happy town frolics that the whole family can enjoy.
Yep.
Yeah. No,
Yep.
7 is terrifying, it's grotesque, it's vulgar, it's horrifying, but you can't take your eyes off of it.
It's so good. It's so good. That's the first Brad Pitt film I ever watched, I think.
Really? That's
Yeah.
how you were introduced to Brad Pitt?
Yeah, it was either that or Ocean's 11, one of the two.
Mm,
No, it must have been 7.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
Yep. Have we done your number 3?
Yeah, that was Inglorious Bastards. On to number 2, I think.
So your number 2 then.
Ocean's 11.
Very good. Oh, it was so close
Yeah.
to making my list.
As much as like the other films are of varying quality, Ocean's 11 just redefined heist movies and talk about like a huge, massive ensemble cast as well. It's just one of the coolest movies ever made. It is just the definition of cool.
Yeah, Aaron and I, we talk about like perfect casting all the time. Like we talked about the 2012 Star Trek, like the Chris Pine Star Trek, like the ensemble
2009
for that movie, or
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings.
Mhm.
But I think that we both agreed like the best like group casting ever was for Ocean's 11. It's just everybody
So
in
good.
that crew, stellar. That was my second honorable mention. It was so close.
Mhm.
Number 2, this is where I have Inglorious Bastards.
Nice.
Yep. Even Inglorious is spelt wrong too, so he misspelt both.
Wait, is there an extra U in there?
Yeah.
Then that is spelled correctly. For England.
INGLUR. Is that how it's spelt over the pond?
I think so. No, it's not. I think the U is in the wrong place. Anyway, we love to stick U's in places, so who knows?
Yeah. Aluminium.
Oh, I love this movie. Gotta go kill some Nazis.
Yeah.
Too good.
Is this the most Tarantino has ever Tarantino'd?
It could well be. It's definitely like it's up there. It's the first. It might be the first one that I saw in theaters because obviously I was old enough to see it. Yeah, no, it's very Tarantino. Very. I don't really give a crap about history. I'm going to tell the story that I want to tell.
Oh yeah. Yeah, his alternate version of like history, like
Mhm.
it's not the only time he's done it. He also did it in what was that movie that just came out? Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. You know,
Yeah.
that alternate history thing, that the satisfying ending that we all wanted,
Mhm.
Yeah, gotta love him. Okay.
Yeah, totally.
So, Ian, your number 1.
Well, I'm guessing yours is Fight Club.
Yes.
So mine is The Big Short. It's
Yeah.
probably because I've just recently come to this film, and it is just stuck with me. It is terrifying. It's brilliant. It's well done. It's ambitious. This is one of the most unique Brad Pitt roles as well, where he's this Edward Snowden-y kind of reclusive, paranoid, hyper vigilant, has all of the answers and the connections guy, yeah, overall, the movie is a must watch, especially if you have a mortgage or are thinking of getting one.
I couldn't agree with you more. This movie is superb. I absolutely adore it. And my number one is Fight Club. I've talked about this movie enough. I don't think I need
Yeah.
to, pile on any more than I already have. But have you talked about your love or your history with Fight Club at all?
Yeah, no, I don't think I have on the show. No, I really, really like it. Again, came to this movie super late. I watched this last year for the first time. Like, I
Whoa,
so super late. So obviously, I knew the spoiler going in. I knew
that's
all
a
of.
shame.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's a
that's a shame.
shame, but it just proved that the movie still works. Like, it still has a punch. It still makes sense, even if it's still enjoyable, even if you've seen it all. It's a little gratuitous for my liking,
Yeah.
but I have to respect how bold it is. And like we talked about, does Bullet Train does anything unique or anything other movies does? Fight Club absolutely is unique and pulls off that twist to pretty much perfection.
Did the movie have the same tone that you expected when you watched it? Like, did you? Because I know a lot of people go into this movie and they just see, oh, it's Fight Club. It's just going to be an action movie with Brad Pitt.
Yeah, 100%. I absolutely went into it expecting action movie, cage fight, stuff like that. The amount of heart and brain meltiness that goes on
Yeah,
behind the actual story itself it elevates it beyond what I was expecting for sure.
yeah. Alrighty, that is going to be our best ever challenge for Brad Pitt. Do you have any honorable mentions that we have not talked about already?
You broke up a bit there.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to
No,
say
you're fine.
that's going to wrap it up for best ever challenge with Brad Pitt. Do you have any honorable mentions that we haven't talked about already?
Oh yeah, so I've got 12 Monkeys, which nearly made it into the list.
Yes.
I it's really, really harsh, but I only like rag on the movie a little bit because I like the TV show so much better. So I'm just like, just watch the TV show, forget about the
Never
movie.
picked up the show. I really
Oh,
should have.
I really think you'd like it. It works. It still works now. It's still worth watching. Interview with the Vampire didn't quite make my list, but it's has to be mentioned because it's Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise.
Yes.
And Snatch was the other one I would put on the list.
Okay. I will throw out some more. The Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford, the longest movie title in history.
It sure is.
Yeah. Have you seen this one?
I haven't. No, I know it'd be right up my alley, though. I'm sure I would like it.
It's a slower movie. It's a
Yeah.
slower movie, but the cinematography in this is some of the best I've ever seen. I'm not just saying that. It really is. Like, whenever I think about this movie, that's the first thing I think of.
Mm-hmm.
Fury, powerful movie. David
Haven't seen
Ayer.
that either.
David Ayer is known for not shying away from the reality and the gore, and whenever he puts that into a war film and tries to make it as realistic as possible, it makes it that much more terrifying. You really buy into this this tank crew as a unit, like a family. So Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, we mentioned Moneyball, 12 Years a Slave, Troy. You know what? I watched Troy a couple weeks ago, and not for the first time. I've seen it like 100 times. I don't know, but for some reason, I got more out of it this last time I watched it. I think it's a lot better than people give it credit for.
Yeah, again on my list of shame, unfortunately.
Then a movie called Babble, which I really, really like. Basically, it's the premise of, trying to communicate in a world with multiple languages and the language barrier and what that means for people. Like, it's like 7 different stories all across the globe, and they're somehow connected to each other, yet every single one of them is speaking a different language. Yeah.
Sounds a lot like Cloud Atlas.
Except it's good.
Oh, I know, I love Cloud Atlas.
Oh,
I love that movie.
Maybe I need to give it. I would say I'd give it a rewatch, but it's way too long for me to give
It's
it.
so long. You need an afternoon and
Yeah.
notes.
And then a movie that I like more than most, just because I like Curious Case of Benjamin Button. Like, I know a lot of people hate this movie, but I like it.
Yeah, didn't see it. I didn't catch that one. Like the premise was interesting, and I knew of the book, but then it got so much bad word of mouth. I was like, yeah, skip it.
There's some really fascinating scenes in this where you have a younger version of Brad Pitt. That's like how did you de-age him? And I'm sure that de-aging technology has come a long way since then, but I remember being in the theater watching it going, wow, it's like a 19-year-old Brad Pitt. That's crazy. So yeah. All right. Are you ready to move on to the buried treasure of the week?
I'm ready.
Okay, well, you are the guest, so you get to go last. I will start.
Yay.
Mine's just going to be a really quick one. Ian, I don't know if you know this about me, but I'm not really much of a music guy. Like, I don't listen to music at all. I just podcast and audiobooks. So now that doesn't mean that I'm a stranger to, music that I've heard
you know of it as
artists.
a concept.
Yeah. Well, what I mean, what I'm trying to get is like I've heard of artists. I may not recognize their work, but like, So my buried treasure this week is going to be Post Malone.
Oh, interesting. Okay, that's cool.
I've heard the names, for years now, and I've seen him with the tattoos on his face and everything. I couldn't tell you a single song that he had sung, and it wasn't until I started doing this for my buried treasure that I found out he's the guy who did the song for Into the Spider-Verse.
Yes.
This guy is good. This guy is really good. I hope good things happen to him. I hope that he finds
many
success.
good things have happened to Post Malone. Ironically, the first Post Malone song I heard was called Post Malone, and it's not by Post Malone.
Wait, what?
There is another band that has a song called Post Malone, which is
Really?
so confusing. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
But no, I listened to like 5 or 6 of his songs, and I just had him on a shuffle, and every single one was really, really good. I like his voice.
He's got a unique sound for sure.
It's a unique sound, so I look forward to finding more from this up and coming indie artist called Post Malone.
Amazing.
All right,
it won't be in the Spider-Verse
Yeah.
sequel because that's going to be delayed again.
Is it?
Rumble. Yeah, it's coming out next year now. Sucks.
Okay. What you got? What's your buried treasure?
So I am going to. It's going to be strange. It's The Walking Dead, but season 10 and 11. So it's by no means a buried treasure at all. But I
did Post Malone. You're fine. You're fine.
I think I have a similar story with what The Walking Dead is. Many people perhaps is that loved it, and then got really bored to tears with it, like around season 8 and 9, roughly. In season 10 and 11, it's really found its way, and maybe it's because they knew the end was in sight. They know they're wrapping up. There's way more urgency. They're telling stories I'm interested in hearing. It's really like the good old days of Walking Dead. So this season 10 and 11, if you've drifted off like I had, it's really worth coming back in and getting back into it and saying goodbye to the characters that you've been with for a while. So yeah, pleasantly surprised.
Okay. It wasn't a buried treasure, but it was a surprising one. I'll say that.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Ian, we just did a podcast.
Yeah, we did. Woo!
Yeah. We told the podcast Prey, like, this is as far as you go. This is as far as you podcast. No more. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning into this week's episode of the Sif Pop Podcast, where we talk about Bullet Train and Prey. If you'd like to follow us on social medias, I'm sure Aaron knows what they are because I sure don't. Whatever the rest of his little spiel here at the very end, just imagine that I did it as eloquently and articulately as he does. And we will catch you in the next one. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll catch you next time. Bye.
Bye.
All right. Shannon. Ueda. Is that how it is? Ueda?
Ueda.
Logical Robot, Scott Corin, Marvin C, Shannon Lambert, Stewart, the one Heath Bar, Computer Geek, Doc Trancy. Good amount of people in today.
Yeah, thanks for hanging out.
Yeah, Mark. Thank you guys so much. We will catch you later on. Bye.
Bye.
All right. Ian, I will catch you in the next one. See you, buddy.
See you soon, buddy.